So, do you know the exception to the hearsay rule? It's one of the evidence rules, and everybody has to abide by the evidence rules. They're basic fundamental rules of the court. You actually need to know all the rules of evidence. I have a video on ER 602, the personal knowledge rule, which is the number one rule that everybody violates. And 99% of people don't know it. 99% of attorneys don't object when somebody violates the personal knowledge rule, testifying to something you don't have personal knowledge of. Most people know a little bit about hearsay. You can't go in there and say what somebody else said. But there's exceptions to the hearsay rule. And one of the many ones, there's like about 10 exceptions. And the only two I really understand, because the other ones are too confusing and are never really needed. But there's a present sense impression and there's an excited utterance. Now, you need to know all the rules of evidence. When you go into court, that's what's allowed in court. It's like playing soccer and you don't know that you can't use your hands. Or playing basketball, you don't know how to dribble, pass, or what the rules are on traveling. Like the basic fundamentals, the evidence rules are what's allowed into court and what you can say in court. If somebody comes into court and cheats, it's like a pitcher who has Vaseline that they put on a baseball, or pine tar on a bat, or pine tar being too high on a bat. That's something from the 80s. I don't even know if that's a rule anymore. Or like when Muhammad Ali fought Sonny Liston, they put something on Sonny Liston's gloves that blinded Muhammad Ali, supposedly. You can't allow certain things in the ring, or on the football field, or on the baseball diamond, or on the mound. You bring certain things in, then you're cheating. You know, they test MMA fighters. They look in their mouth and check their pants, make sure they don't have any weapons or something. I don't know what they're looking for. But you can't bring stuff into the ring or in a competition that's not allowed. You can't bring in hearsay or testimony that violates the personal knowledge rule, or stuff you don't have personal knowledge of, or irrelevant stuff, or stuff that calls for expert testimony. Now I have a video in my store that talks about 7 or 8 of the most important rules of evidence. I give you a free video on ER 602, personal knowledge. And then I did a free video on, what's the other one I did? I did personal knowledge, I did one other one. I think I talked about authenticating evidence. That's usually in the ER 900s. Most of the states have the same numbering system as the federal courts. So if you have the same numbering system, and then sometimes if they don't have the numbering system, they have part of the number, like ER 802 is hearsay. So in Georgia, I think the rules of evidence are chapter 911 of the Georgia Code, and then it says -602 or 802 or 702. So sometimes they have the numbering system within it. New York's kind of like that too. They have a weird numbering system, but you see that 3-digit number in there. Anyway, exception to hearsay rule, excited utterance. There's a lot of dads out there, they won't even talk about what their kid said. They're just like, oh, that's hearsay, I can't even try it. And your baby's mom is in there cheating, violating 5 different evidence rules, and you're scared, and you think you're going to win Cub Scout or Brownie or Eagle Scout points by being honest and favorable and wonderful, and she's cheating and scratching and clawing. And it's a competition, and you need to grow some balls and fight. You need to know all the evidence rules. Again, I have an evidence rule video in my store, but this evidence rule, ER 803 in most states, the exceptions to the hearsay rule, excited utterance. When somebody says something under the stress or emotion of a situation, they allow that. Excited utterances are an exception to the hearsay rule, and they allow it. Now, why do they do it? This kind of helps you remember the nature of the rule. But why they do it, this is my guess. Hearsay is not admissible because it's unreliable. When you try and remember what somebody says, you don't remember it accurately, or it passes through the grapevine and the story changes from one person to another. So they want to hear it like, if I said something and you go to court, well, James told me he's going to kill me. You're saying hearsay. You need to get me to admit I said that. And some people are so dumb, they can't get the logic of that. And they say, oh, well, I witnessed firsthand the person saying it. No, if you heard them say it and you're repeating their words, that's hearsay. You heard them say it. Well, I directly heard them say it. Well, that's not allowed, but I directly heard them say it. Dude, that's the rule. Use some logic. This is the rule. You have to follow it. You can't say, oh, I should be able to use my hands in soccer. I did it in rugby and I did in football. That's the rules of soccer. Whether you like it, well, they should be able to have it. Well, that's the rules. You cannot repeat what somebody else said. Whether you heard them directly whisper it in your ear 3 inches away, or heard them down the street, or heard somebody else say what they said, it's hearsay is hearsay. But the exception to the hearsay rule, I believe why they allow excited utterances is because an excited utterance might be your kid crying, Daddy, Mommy's boyfriend touched my privates. That's an excited utterance. They're blurting that out under the stress of the situation. They're crying about it while recollecting what happened. So you can repeat what you heard your daughter say because she said it under duress or under the excitement or stress or sadness or happiness or excitement of the situation. Okay? That's a vivid memory. When your kid's crying or upset about something and they say it, you will vividly and accurately remember what they say, as opposed to if you watch 10 of my videos that are 10 minutes long, that's 100 minutes, you're not going to remember every single word. It's hard to remember that stuff in the midst of just regular conversation or my monotone voice. If I step on your foot, like we're in a crowd and I'm stepping on your foot and I don't realize that we're in a crowd, maybe at a concert, and you start screaming, James, get off my foot, I'm gonna kill you, mother effer, or whatever. And I was in court telling that story, I could say, Bill said, James, I'm gonna kill you, mother effer. Now, that's hearsay. But they're saying they're stressed out and they're in pain, so they scream it under an excited utterance. They blurted it out or uttered it under the stress of the excitement of the situation. So that exception is allowed in court. So that statement, I can repeat hearsay back to the court. But regular hearsay, I can't. And there's so many guys that miss an opportunity to talk to the court about the kids being abused by the mom or the mom's boyfriend because they're like, well, my attorney said that's hearsay. Your attorney's a stupid jackass. That's an excited utterance. And, well, it's a close call. Well, if it's a close call, go for it. See, this is where you turn into a pussy because you're like, oh my God, it's a violation of the rule. The worst thing that could happen is the other side will say objection and the judge will say that's inadmissible. You're acting like lightning's going to strike from heaven if you say, if you mention hearsay or an excited utterance. You're acting like you're going to be eternally sentenced to hell or you're going to get the death penalty. The other side is cheating and lying and stealing and slandering you and abusing the kids and alienating the kids. And you're worried about maybe getting objected to on a hearsay rule? Like you want to be goody two-shoes Eagle Scout so bad and you want to make everybody happy so bad because you're such a man pleaser or a simp or you're so whipped you don't want to talk bad about the mother, you don't want to say anything. Or you're probably using an excuse. I don't want to talk bad about the mother. I don't want to put the kids in the middle of it. But the whole issue is the mother's boyfriend is abusive or the mother slapped the kids and you don't want to say that the kids told you the mother slapped them because you might get it objected to. That's where you care about your feelings or your comfort zone more than you love your kids. I talk about women, an argument that every dad should use going into court. My baby's mom hates me more than she loves the kids. So she'll take the kids away and harm them and deprive them of a parent because she hates me so much. She should say, I hate my baby's dad, but I love my kids. And even though he's a bad boyfriend or bad husband, they need their father. And I love them so much, I'm going to honor their place in life, even though he did me wrong. And I know that from experience. My mom did it, grew up in an alcoholic family. My mom did it. She never slandered our dad. Ever. I think probably too much so, and didn't call a spade sometimes. But you need to love your kids more than your own comfort, more than your own convenience, more than your reputation or your butthurt scaredy cat feelings or your own fears. Oh my God, if I go in there and say the kids said that they were abused, the court might strike it down as hearsay. So freaking what? Why don't you go for everything? Shoot for the stars and hopefully you hit the moon. But you need to learn all the rules of evidence. Whether you get my video or not, you need to know them. A lot of people who read them all, they get confused. And I have a preview. If you go to my flow page, and I show you on TikTok how to go to my flow page, there's a whole page